the numbers of women in senior positions is beginning to increase, albeit from a low base. So what's it like for women in this position? Do they see themselves as having broken through a glass ceiling, forging new ground as it were? And what's it like when they get there? Do they, as somebody said to me recently, do you have to walk on the shards of that glass ceiling that you've broken through? As Senior Vice President and General Manager of Northern Trust Limerick, Catherine Duffy has overall responsibility for the strategic development and day-to-day operations of Northern Trust Limerick, with over 1,000 employees in 2 different office locations. So, glass ceiling and are there shards? Here to take us through life as a female general manager within corporate business, please welcome Catherine Duffy.
Thank you very much, Sienna, for that wonderful introduction. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I have to say it's a great honour, and it was a great honour for me to be asked to come to talk to you today. So when Teresa asked me to come to talk to you, I said, Teresa, what would you like me to speak about? And she said, talk about yourself, talk about your home life, talk about your work, talk about mentors, talk about challenges that you had along the way, the importance of networking, coaching, and your personal brand. Keep in mind also the theme of making things happen in a corporate world, seeking opportunities and sometimes just stumbling across those opportunities. And tell the good, tell the bad, give a few tips and hints on leadership. So here goes. I hate this slide, I have to say. I absolutely hate this photo, but anyway, under the heading of making it happen, why not start at home? So I am a very lucky woman, I have to say, and all my friends and family do tell me, because my husband does all the cooking, he does the grocery shopping, and he does the laundry. Now, I didn't say cleaning. Did you notice that? I didn't mention the cleaning. But I know what you're thinking, so what the hell does she do? I have to say, my daughter Elise was asked to write an essay when she was in primary school. She was gone into secondary when she was in primary school to say what her mother and father do. So she took out the 2 foolscap pages and she put down, for Eugene, he farms, he collects us from Camogie, he trains in Camogie, he feeds us, he makes sure he drops us to school, he makes sure we get home, he does our homework with us, he does our night time story, he does everything. So she filled in 2 pages of that, and she afforded me 1 line at the end. And what she said was, Mommy lights the candles and pours the wine. That's exactly what she did. So she was grounded for no, she wasn't. No. So that's what she saw, Mommy doing that. But in my defence, Eugene loves to cook, so I'm not going to stop that. He does the shopping because he says I slow him down. He's so much that he needs to do in the laundry. He's 2 weeks of whatever he does, his socks or whatever. So I'm going to be smart and put my stuff in with the laundry as well. Why not? So that sums up making it happen at home. So I was born in Dublin. I have 2 sisters and 7 brothers. And I'm very fortunate that my mother and father are alive and well and living in Kildare. In secondary school, Mary Kennedy from Nationwide was my Irish teacher all the way through secondary school. And I have to say, anyone who was in Mary's class did well. But her teaching and her motivation and her encouragement, they certainly shaped me from an early age. And I often refer back to when she made us do debates, when she made us learn peg sales off. There was things but there was a forming in all of those, I have to say. And we definitely didn't see it back then, but we do now. So I joined the workforce, as Sienna said, in 1989. I was educated in Dublin, in the Leinster Secretarial Institute in Rathmines, and then also in what was known then, it's not there anymore, as the College of Commerce Rathmines. I joined Ulster Bank Investment Services as a reconciliations clerk, moved to a lot of roles in Ulster Bank, as Sienna mentioned. Then in the year 2000, Northern Trust came into Ireland and they took over the part of the Ulster Bank that I was in. I have to say, I've been given an awful lot of opportunities in both Ulster Bank and in Northern Trust. And I did decide early on in my career that I was going to take up on the opportunities / challenges. And they haven't all been rosy in the garden, definitely. There's been some really, really tough ones. But I have to say, the tough ones, the ones with thorns, they really made me come out stronger. And they're ones I can look back on now and that I've learned from and that I can do things now better. So they say tough times don't last, but tough people do. So who is Northern Trust, you might be saying? This is our CEO, Rick Waddell. Our HQ is in Chicago. So being the general manager of Northern Trust, based in Limerick, 2 offices, one at Ballysimon Road and one in Plassey Technology Park. We opened in 2007. We started with 19 staff. So as of today, we've just gone over 1,100. So what do you do? What do we do? As Sian was explaining to us. The corporate line is global provider of asset servicing administration for international investors around the world. What does all of that mean? That if you buy or you sell or you're in a pension fund or you have shares, we do the back office of that. We do all the administration for that. We send out contract notes. We send out dividend checks. So it's a busy, busy, busy environment. This is just a bit of a map of where we are in relation to global coverage that we have. 2,000 clients, 56 countries. Over 20,000 employees now employed in Northern Trust, HQ in Chicago. We recently just acquired a new piece of business in Switzerland, UBS, which is great for us now to break into that market. Within our Limerick office, we've been very fortunate that we've been able to forge a lot of relations with our Asian partners, and we always have a number of partners going to and from our Bangalore and our Pune office. So Northern Trust set up in 2000 in Dublin, and today there's 1,600 staff, so 500 in Dublin, 1,100 here, and the same amount of funds. Just to give a bit of a Limerick overview. So it has been a great success story for Northern Trust, I have to say, and it's thanks to the excellent calibre of staff that we have, mostly who've come to us, the graduates anyway, from the Limerick Institute of Technology, the University of Limerick and Mary I. But it's also our working colleagues in Limerick with us, the likes of Cook Medical, Vistacon, Regeneron, the IDA, the likes of Today, which gives us a voice, the likes of working with Teresa, etc. So in 2007, when Northern Trust set up an office outside Dublin, it was an obvious choice for us because of the accessibility of the road, the rail and the air. So our staff travel to the offices in Limerick from 13 different counties around. And we find every time we do jobs announcements, as we did one recently, that there's people from those 13 counties around who are living in Luxembourg, in the Caymans, in New York, in London, who are doing what we do, and they talk to us, and then they come home and bring their families home, which is fantastic, and that's what we want. So an employer of choice, definitely in the region it is, heavily engaged with the University of Limerick and with the Limerick Institute of Technology, and Mary I now, which is great for us. So just a bit on our volunteering running ahead there. We are very aware of our corporate social responsibility and the community that we are living in and our employees are living in. So every employee gets 2 days annual leave per year to do a project for us, to do a volunteering project for us. And we've worked with the Midwest Simon community, Limerick Animal Welfare, the Rape Crisis Centre. We've done gardens, we've done paintings, etc. So we've done a lot of work. We're always raising money for charities, and I have to say I am very, very proud of all my staff for their continued enthusiasm for the charities. We're also have a large emphasis on the youth and young people, because these are our future leaders, the children who are going to school today, the children who are getting ready to go to school today. So we have an early learning initiative. This is where we're teaching parents how to read to their children up to the age of 5 and how important that is. Working with SUAS, working with Junior Achievement Ireland, plenty of programs going on. And more recently, last week or the week before, Student Life Summit, we launched that in Northern Trust. That's coming out of Dublin for the first time. So if you have a child or a friend or a relation or a neighbour in TY or 5th year, on the 17th of November in the University of Limerick, there's a Student Life Summit, and that will have exhibitions and excellent talkers from the Aer Lingus, from the Defence Force, from the Guards, from the bank, etc. Just to give them a bit of an idea, because it's so hard for them at that stage to decide what they want to do. So I just put in, sorry, I'm going the wrong way, yeah, in a few, some of you might be aware of our offices. That's the one there in City East, where we have staff, and there are some of just the internals of it. So that is the City East Plaza office, and I might as well use this opportunity. We've 100 open roles at the moment. If you know anyone in the financial services, send them on. We'd be delighted to talk to them. So that's just some photos. So I'm delighted to tell you that our London office has officially signed the Women in Charter run by Her Majesty's Treasury. And the plan of that is to increase female representation in leadership positions and tackle gender equality in financial services. And I'm also delighted to tell you that Ireland, Northern Trust within Ireland, is also pigging back off that and is signing that charter. So the charter states that 45% of our leadership group will be women by 2020. Yes, in a corporate world, I understand where there's a lot of hiring going on and there's a lot of people movement, it's a lot easier for us to hire. But I say to you all, when you're making the move of hiring that next person, have equal amounts of male, female CVs if you can, and then the best person will make the best person get the job. When a job description comes out and there's 10 competencies on it, a woman will look at those 10 competencies and she'll say, I can only do 8, I'm not going for that. A male will look exactly at the same job description, the same competencies, and say, I can do 2 of those, I'm going for that job. So that's something that we should always, I think, keep in our mind. So, professional brand, and look, that's gone flying on. So, as you can imagine, your professional brand is extremely important for all of us. So I try to use the following and remember the following tips and hints when I'm thinking about professional brand. The importance of first impressions, be it you're coming to a meeting, be it you're sitting at a board table, or you're meeting somebody external. What do your clothes say about you? Stay current on events. Have a line or 2 on them. You don't have to be experts on it, just have a line or 2 on events. Don't interrupt. Don't be an expert on everything. Respect, respond, and retain. Develop mentor relationships. Really, really important to have mentors. Work hard on your networking, internal and external. Create a business web like you're doing here. So important to have an internal mentor, so much more important to have an external mentor. Somebody who will tell you this is what you need to do. Have those mentors, meet them, meet your external mentor 3 times a year, make the time for it and get something out of it. On the leadership front, in my opinion, the most important quality for leadership, without question, is integrity. Without integrity, you won't have success. And that's in all walks of life, sport, hospitals, guards, offices, etc. Like if you think of all of the different leadership styles that we have around us, Obama, Trump, Enda Kenny, Margaret Thatcher, Nelson Mandela, Bill Gates, Dennis Brosnan, Joe Schmidt, Mary McAleese, the Pope, Putin. Every one of those had their own style and their own technique. All leaders must make tough decisions. Corporates, small companies, startups, etc. It just goes with the job. They understand that in certain situations, difficult and timely decisions must be made in the best interest of the organisations. And these are decisions that require a lot of firmness, authority and finality, and they're not going to please everybody. Extraordinary leaders don't hesitate in such situations, and they also know when not to act unilaterally, but instead foster a collaborative decision making. I've seen the following traits which I admire in leaders throughout my career to date, and I do try to remember these and mirror some of them as I'm going through my day to day. Extraordinary leaders praise in public, and they address problems in private, but with a genuine concern. The best leaders guide employees through challenges, always on the lookout for solutions to foster the long-term success of the organisation. So always have solutions in the back of your head that you can talk through, other than coming along and just saying, this is terrible, I don't know what to do. Have a few solutions ready. Rather than making things personal when they encounter problems or assigning a blame to individuals, they look for constructive solutions and focus on moving forward, which is really important. They take responsibility for everyone's performance, including their own, and that is really important, that we take responsibility for our own performance. Follow up on outstanding issues, check in on employees, monitor the effectiveness of company policies and procedures. Maybe we have that policy or procedure there too long. Do we need to go out and brainstorm this? What do you think of this policy? Do we need to freshen it up? When things are going well, they praise. When there are problems, they identify them quickly. They look for a solution, get things back on track, and on again you go. Not only are the best leaders very confident, but their confidence is contagious. Employees are naturally drawn to them. They seek their advice. They feel more confident after talking to them, and it makes them more confident that they'll get a good result. When challenged, they don't give in too easily because they've done their homework. They've looked at all the scenarios. They've said, what if this goes well? What if that doesn't go well? What can we do? So they won't be thrown off by that, but they do like the questions. When they are proven wrong, they take responsibility, quickly improve the situation, within their authority and they move on. So strong leaders treat people the way that they would like to be treated. And I think we're all like that. They are extremely ethical and they believe in honesty, effort and reliability, that's the foundation of the business and that'll give it the success. They embody those values so overtly that no employee doubts their integrity for a minute. They share information openly and they avoid very much spin control. So it's all about communication. Leaders, they plan ahead, they are highly organised. They think through multiple scenarios, the possible impacts of their decisions, while considering viable alternatives and making plans and strategies, all targeted though towards the success and the success of their organisation. Once prepared, they establish strategies, processes and routines at such a high performance that they can be monitored and easily identified by everyone. They communicate their plans to their key players and they have contingency plans in place in case there's any last minute changes or new direction. So putting it all together, what emerges is a picture of the truly inspiring leader, somebody who communicates clearly, concisely, and often, by doing so, motivates everyone to give his or hers the best. They challenge their people by setting high but attainable standards and expectations, and then giving them the support and the tools and the training, which is very important, to pursue the goals and to become the best employees that they can be. People ask, what is the difference between a leader and a boss? And Theodore Roosevelt said, the leader leads and the boss drives. So just to wrap up, I'll finish off with a story as we did at the beginning. But this is really, I think, important. How many times have things not as they appear? Are things not as they appear? Seek to understand is the first rule of thumb. No jumping to conclusions. Get to know people. Get to know them in work. Get to know them outside of work. One day, a very old and cute couple walked into a local fast food restaurant. The little old man went up to the counter and he ordered their food. He brought it back to the table, a hamburger, some chips and a drink. Carefully, he sliced the hamburger in two and then neatly divided the chips in two small piles. He sipped the drink and then he passed it to his wife, who took a sip also and passed it back to her husband. A younger man was at the nearby table observing all this, and he felt very sorry for them. He offered to buy them another meal, but the old man respectfully declined, saying that they were used to sharing everything. So the old man began to eat his food while his wife sat still, not eating. The young man continued to watch the old couple, feeling that there was something that he should be doing to help. As the old man finished his half of the burger and fries, the old lady still had not started to eat hers. So the young man was agitated, he couldn't take any more. He said, "Mom, why aren't you eating?" The old lady looked up politely and said, pointing to the old man, "I'm waiting on the teeth." Thank you all so much for joining here today.